There have been a lot of cases reported that those who drive big trucks seem to be road bullies and are not patient enough for some pedestrians and for other motorists. Reports show that some of them are so impatient that they, even though are big in size, do certain overtakings in some areas which are very scary. It has also been reported that these big trucks, whose horns are very loud, do not care about the types of people who are around them, but deliberately honk and continue to make loud sounds to get people out of their way and to alert other motorists that they are a hindrance. While it is good that these alarms are available to warn people about their presence, there has to be a check on the way they go about horning and the length and duration with which they horn. Instead of horning once or twice, some will press the horn and hold it for as long as they can, with a loud sound that pollutes the noise and pollutes the sounds of the air, and then creates so much noise that a person's mind becomes so confused. There are times where they horn so loudly that a person is scared almost to death. And whether their horns are supposed to be very loud or not, that is another discussion for another day. What we want to also look at is the way sometimes they speed on the roads. Knowing that these cars, made of mostly metal and hard substances, are very dangerous, most of them are advised to drive within a certain speed range. But it has come to our notice that some exceed this speed range even where it is clear to them on the roads that these speeds should not be gone above. There seems to be a misregard and disregard for the road rules, especially when the police are not around. The big trucks have become the lions on the road, and when certain people cross them, they get so angry they try to crash into them, in some instances as if they want them dead. There have been reports of a certain truck driver who was angry that a certain car overtook him, so he drove towards the car and almost crashed into it, but fortunately the driver swerved on time. Should it be so that because they are big trucks, they have that much power? Should it be so, knowing that they can easily take away 1 or 2 lives? Should it be so, knowing that the wrong people, the people who may not even be involved, those who are on the road, those who may be crossing, those who are in their stores which are close to the roads, can be involved in these damages when they occur? Shouldn't there be some form of a unit that screens these types of big trucks, watches how they go about their stuff and operates, to make sure that they are within the safe enclosure? We have also seen reports whereby some of these truck drivers who are offended at drivers got down from their vehicles and sometimes with weapons engaged in serious fights. A lot of accidents happen on the road, and most of them are not only because a mistake was done or necessarily because a fault was not seen, but because people were angry and could not control their temper. We have seen certain people who have been so angry on the road that they decide to turn the road into a battlefield. This happens a lot. And sometimes the drivers are not worried about the passengers who are in their vehicles. Our focus should also be on the types of drivers who drive these vehicles. What is their nature like? Do they have temperament issues? And is there any way to keep them warned from allowing anger to take the greater part of them? Maybe there has to be an exercise whereby these truck drivers, these caterpillar drivers, and all these long trucks have some tutoring, explaining to them that their emotions can lead to more than they even think of, especially when they are the ones who have been offended. Sometimes the things we hear with our ears are hard to digest, but they always happen. And for those on the roads who see what happens, there's a lot to say about it. There are times where certain truck drivers were overspeeding, and after the red light, they slammed their brakes so hard that these trucks veered off the road and smashed into certain people, destroying their products, their goods, their structures, and even killing some. Why should innocent people who had nothing to do with the truck drivers suffer from all the consequences that come from some of these negligent acts? Many times, some of these things could have been prevented if only these drivers would listen, and if only they'll be a bit patient. We don't want to be too hard on these drivers either, but we also want to bring to the awareness of those other drivers who cross such big trucks to be very careful. Be careful not only for yourself, but also for those who are in your vehicles, and also for those who may be around. You don't have to always do something that would make a big truck driver to be pissed off so that he decides to respond in a negative way. And it's even worse when, after a disagreement about something that was done on the road, instead of the drivers moving on, they take it to the next level and start insulting each other. And that is one of the ways the anger boils up and turns into a different whole game. When you're on the road, you are likely to hear two drivers insult each other, insult their mothers, and even insult their ancestors and mention other people who are not even on the road with them. This is a common practice, especially among the illiterate drivers. And even there are even those educated ones who sometimes insult like they are straight from the village. You would be shocked to see someone in suit open his mouth to say certain words which you never expected to hear from such a person. It's not always that a man in tie, in suit, or in a coat should be regarded as a mannered person. A lot of things happen on the road, and until the man rolls down his window to scream things for you to hear, you would think he's a very gentleman. And then there are those reports also of some drivers coming out of their vehicles with cutlasses and weapons to address an issue on the road. We have to be very careful of the ways we go about the things we do. We have to be very careful of the ways we struggle to have the right of road. In some instances, when two cars are struggling over the road, over a particular lane in the road, the bigger one sometimes forces the smaller one into the curb and into the corner, so that there's no other way for him to go unless he crashes into him or he climbs the little pavement. This happens all the time, and we see two drivers who wouldn't allow the other driver to go before them, struggling and forcing their ways through, regardless of who is in front of them and who's behind them. Sometimes, when you find yourself in this position with a car that is bigger than you or a truck, it's best to allow him to take the lead. If you don't, you and him may be struggling for a lane, but at the end of the day, you will be struggling for your life. Because these cars and trucks are made of hard metal and are very still in nature, they don't mind crashing into others, because they know their vehicles are not like those Porsche cars that are made with delicate plastic and other aluminum and rubber products. And moreover, when these kind of big trucks crash, they don't endure those types of scratches, dents, and destruction of their body parts when compared to private vehicles and other types of cars that ply the road. Because of this, they have this I don't careism matter when it comes to who should be on the road at a particular place and at a particular time. This is very specially true for when there's a traffic jam and people are trying their best to go forward. You would realize that in a lane where, for example, two cars are moving in one direction and that the lane becomes narrow to a point that it has to be only one car that is going, two cars will be struggling to go ahead. But mostly when these two cars, one is bigger, the smaller one suffers. And if the smaller one is not fortunate and the bigger one is like a truck or a long vehicle, then it is no good news for him. There has to be some form of reminders on the roads that tell and alert the drivers to be just a little patient and just a little allowable for things to happen. They should just create allowances for certain things, though they may not be happy about it. Just a little patience, just a little patience, and a life could be saved. Just a little patience and your car would not be damaged. Just a little patience and you won't be injured. Some people who don't have this little patience end up even wasting more time than they should, because when such things occur, they have to now be taken to the police station where more time will be wasted, and in cases their vehicles will be towed and have to be inspected upon, that will be more time even added to the waste. Then there's also the case where, in case it goes to court, you have to put down your other business things to come attend to court matters. A little patience could make a big difference. A little patience could keep you from having more stress. And then there's the need also for certain police forces to be at points where it's known for some traffic jams and for some competition between drivers because of how those places are. When these types of police forces are around there, when traffic is jammed up and cars are struggling for a way to pass through, the presence of the police will get them to think properly and to avoid doing that which they should not do. Sometimes, the presence of a policeman can make a whole difference and keep indiscipline from occurring on our streets. Sometimes the presence of a policeman can save a life. He doesn't necessarily have to catch somebody or do something. As long as he's present, he's in uniform and he's seen, the drivers who wouldn't want to be penalized will act wisely. In the meantime, let's be very aware of the big trucks on the road, and let's not give them a reason to be angry. And for those of you who drive big trucks, exercise more patience, and please do well not to bully other cars and other people on the road, no matter what power you may think you have. Thank you for listening. and have a nice day.